I guess when we talk about what's most proud of is that honestly, and people often take this the wrong way, but I think we made it okay to be a police officer again. And by that, it's like when people talk about the thin blue line, that it has some negative connotation. And as you heard me at Darren's funeral, I'll never let anyone hijack that. The thin blue line is a line that we stand on. It's not separate, but we stand on that line together in the service of others. It's not an excuse for unprofessionalism and things of that nature. It's standing on the line for the only purpose of serving others. And so we made it okay to be a cop again, where our communities demand that in a professional, just way, that we take the violent criminal element off our streets. And we supported that as a department. And we've seen the benefits of that. And that to continue to work hard as all the proactive units are working in our communities, to also be there for our community in times of non-crisis, to see that we're all human and we all want this city to be better. So I'm proud that we made it okay, to be cops again, to do what we wanted to do, to make our communities better. And again, I'm glad I didn't lose my way on the way. I'm glad that I believe that I'll be thought of as, a cop first. And ultimately, you can put anything under that. But what I'm proud of the most is I think I'm walking away with people saying I was a cop first and a chief second. And I don't know how much prouder I can be than that. Regardless of language spoken, racial makeup, or economic status, that, I have ever heard the words, "We wanted to see less of you in our neighborhoods." Like, it didn't happen. Like, and I would tell, some reporters at a time, and this was early, this was in 2021 when we first got here, we had to get out in our communities and have conversations where this false narrative came out, where I'm like, I don't know where you guys are getting that, because I've never heard it from a neighborhood here. And so when you have that as the foundation, you can rebuild anything when that's the foundation. We're always going to hold ourselves accountable when we haven't represented the badge very well. But when we're right, we're right. And I think I stood for what I've said before I started, that I'll die on the vine for the men and women when we're right. And you can't be afraid of the outside noise when you're right. In this job, you have to operate as if you have a net when you don't. I always think it's important for the police chief to be out there, amongst our community. And I'm not going to ask anyone to do something I wouldn't do. And this is, that's one of the reasons why this job puts your life second, as you've heard me say. There's no balance in this job. There isn't. Anybody that wants to be the police chief of the Dallas Police Department or any major city needs to understand that the second that they raise their right hand and take this job, that their life just became second to the department.
You're listening to the ATO Bridging the Divide podcast, brought to you by the Assist the Officer Foundation.
Since 1999, the ATO has given assistance to the first responder community. And now we want to give them a platform to hear their incredible stories.
We also want to hear the stories of the many people that support us.
Our community is small, but it is strong.
We have differences. We don't always agree, and we all make mistakes.
But together we can grow, we can heal.
And we can learn from those mistakes.
And together we can bridge the divide.
It has been said that the idea is not to live forever, but to create something that will. The phrase that conveys the idea that something, whether a person's actions, words, or legacy, has a lasting and profound impact that resonates through time and is remembered long after the individual is gone. February 2021, the city of Dallas ushered in a new era as it hired its first Latino chief to lead. The Dallas violent crime rate had spiked in all major categories. The police profession was reeling from the defund the police movement, and department morale had plummeted. The department needed a strong leader, and Eddie Garcia stepped in. And now, after 3.5 years, this chief is retiring from the profession that he loves dearly. And I believe that what he has done in life, what he has done in this city, will echo in eternity. Chief Eddie Garcia recently said, and I quote, "I chose my profession. I knew the danger. I was aware of the possibilities. I knew and wouldn't trade it away. Stand up, stand tall, be proud of the uniform. We are family. And even though that I am gone, don't let me down. Stand fast." Chief Garcia, you have the floor. Welcome back to the stage, boss.
Thanks for having me.
I want to take this time to kind of reflect on the last 3.5 years for your time here in Dallas PD and the impact that you've had on many people, including myself and Danny. Kennedy here is with us. I want to get into your leadership style. We got a lot to get to, but your leadership style is what has struck me most since you've been here. I've been here almost 28 years. I have never seen a chief be as engaged as you, not just with command staff, but with the rank and file, and as well as the community. And I think that's one of the biggest things I think you've brought to this position.
Well, I appreciate that, and oftentimes I say like I don't know how to do this job any other way, and it's part of the reason why that I decided to hang it up. But I really truly believe in emotional bank accounts. It was interesting. I too had to read books getting promoted, and it was the 7 Habits by Stephen Covey, right? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And there's 2 things in that book that I got. One was the quadrants about where to put things in. The other one was emotional bank accounts, right? And recognizing who your stakeholders are, and knowing really, if you look at it as simply like that. And listen, leadership's leadership, I guess. And in my way is not the only way. But if you treat in any job you're in, your stakeholders and who the people and the groups that are important to you with the mindset that you have an emotional bank account with all of them. And what I mean by that is there are decisions that you're going to make and things you'll do or say or what have you that will be withdrawals, just like a bank account. Well, I think the people that are successful are the ones that realize that they've made a withdrawal, so they have to make deposits. And you're not going to be successful when you're overdrawn, right? So there's things that, maybe the department makes a mistake. And that's a withdrawal from the community. So I think about it from the emotional bank account perspective. Again, say you put a policy in place that may not be popular with the rank and file, but a policy that is good for the department. Well, one, you need to recognize that. And I like to think, listen, again, is the point, I'm a cop first and the chief second. Like I know what policies I'm putting in place for the betterment of the department, while at the same time recognizing that may not be very popular with rank and file. Well, that's a withdrawal, however you look at it. So then you got to work hard and come back with things that then you can deposit into the rank and file so that your account stays in the black and not in the red. With the community, the same exists. The department makes a mistake, and that's a withdrawal from the community. So you need to ensure you make deposits. City Hall, the same way. Any relationship that you have, really, any relationship, whether they're personal relationships or working relationships. And so that's kind of a foundation of how I do the job. The other part of it is, man, I love being a cop. And I love being out there with the troops and, seeing the units and going on patrol and doing those type of things. And, I tell people all the time, you can't pretend to do that. And there are other great leaders that may not go out with rank and file and troops, and they're still amazing leaders. But for me, I enjoy doing that. And the one thing I try to tell chiefs, whether they're local or across the country, is just, don't pretend to be someone you're not. Because the second you sit in that patrol car with your arms crossed like you don't want to be there, it actually defeats the purpose altogether of even being out with the troops. You got to love what you do. And I loved what I did. I truly believe in bringing stakeholders around the table. I've loved working with our associations. And, and I, brought this point up, a little bit ago where, associations have gotten such a bad rap in the last few years, whereas sometimes some people think that they're anti-moving forward and things of that nature, and they couldn't be further from the truth, whether it was in San Jose or here. And obviously working with the several associations that we have here, found it to be completely open to new ideas. Their goals were our goals. I mean, we get their different ways, but they want the betterment of the men and women, which we do. They want the department to look good, which we do. They want our community safe, which we do. And they want the badge to shine, meaning that we want to be professional. I think the missing part many times has been that I don't think people have brought them into the table to give their opinion on things. You all probably know. I mean, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, there hasn't been a major culture policy change in this police department since we've started our journey together, where the associations haven't had a say. And so, I don't mean it to sound cliche, but I'm a blue collar chief. I didn't go to fancy schools. I don't have 17 diplomas on my wall. I learned how to be a cop by being a cop. And I like to think that I never really forgot. I worked deep nights or midnights. I've been on perimeters, I've done entries, and I've interviewed homicide suspects. I like to think I remember those days, and kind of think about what, if I was back there, what I wanted to see. And I mean, I'd like to figure it out more, because people ask me the leadership question all the time, and I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I didn't learn how to do it anywhere. I learned it from experience, seeing supervisors that I liked, seeing supervisors that maybe I didn't like, and then having a big sifter that came out with what I thought the rank and file in the community would appreciate.
Tell us the name of that book one more time. Emotional bank accounts, stakeholders.
Oh, it's Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, what strikes me most about your communication is how genuine it comes across. And I'm one of the rank and file. I'm the lowest ranking here at the department. I'm amongst these folks. Being in the wellness unit, I come in contact with so many people, and Chief, there are people legit sad to see you go, and they felt that you're one of them. So whenever you speak, whenever they see you, they actually can see themselves. You don't act and you don't behave like an administrator. Yes, you are an administrator, but the way you communicate and the way you carry yourself, the way you show up the details, the way other outside agencies look at you, they look at you as a 4-star chief, and they see themselves, because they it gives them something to aspire to be, because that's what you bring to the table. It's really, I mean, I've never seen that here in Dallas PD, to be honest with you.
And again, it just goes back to I think the way I was raised in this profession, of just being working hard as a cop, and really not forgetting that. And it's interesting because I think people have asked Mo, several times, like, how is he, like, outside, and like Mo will say he's real. Like, they'll be in the office, they'll see us joking around and this and that and the other, and they go, is he really like that? And Mo's like, it's the way he is. This job's fun, it's enjoyable. I've loved doing it. It's been a tremendous ride. And I just never forget where I came from. I've always said, we're always going to hold ourselves accountable when we haven't represented the badge very well. But when we're right, we're right. And I think I stood for what I said before I started, that I'll die on the vine for the men and women when we're right. And you can't be afraid of the outside noise when you're right. In this job, you have to operate as if you have a net when you don't. And ultimately be able to look in the mirror. And I got to say, I mean, for the times that I've made decisions or other things that I haven't been able to look in the mirror, because I'm really thinking about what's fair to the rank and file. I feel like I've been able to look in the mirror a lot more than not throughout my it would have been 33 years in February, and so that's what I wanted to be remembered by. I wanted to be present. I wanted to be vocal for both the community and the rank and file. I wanted to defend them when they needed defending and not worry about the outside noise or the politics of how it looked like when they were right. If the system fails us, we have to be vocal about that as well. And I guess I just sat back really through the years and thought, man, if I was a hardworking street cop, what would I want my chief to say when we all know? Is anyone going to say it for us? And that's kind of how I led.
Well, this episode is, it's a goodbye in some ways. It's not just about you talking. I really wanted you to hear from the people that you've touched and you've inspired. So we have some letters from the listeners for you.
Oh man, you guys should have brought Kleenex in here.
Yeah,
because y'all gonna make me.
To my Texan transplant, my boss, but more importantly, from one diehard Cowboy fan to another, I thank you for all you've done. Thank you for your empathy, passion, and desire to heal this department. Thank you for your vision and your mentorship. I sincerely thank you for all you've done and the path you've laid down for this department. You came at a critical time in our department, and to see the impact you have had on our men and women has been amazing. While it is difficult to see you go, you've created a path that will continue to inspire each and every one of us. Thank you, boss. Now let's go, Cowboys. Chief Tina Schultz.
We have another one here. Police Chief Eddie Garcia saw something in me and my ability that most folks didn't see and gave me a shot. Most people just use me as a breaking glass in case of emergency tool. He saw past that part. I owe him for the opportunity and can't ever truly repay that. I have also observed and learned firsthand from one of the most accomplished and successful leaders in police history, and that natural ability cannot be replicated or replaced easily. And he did all that and still is pretty down to earth and understands the cops. I will miss my boss, my mentor, and my friend, Deputy Chief Jeremy Foy.
We're not done yet, boss.
It's been an honor to serve under your leadership. No one has been able to unite the troops, City Hall, and the community like you have. You restored morale to levels that we've never seen. You gave the department and our community a sense of pride, knowing we had the best chief in the nation. We are forever grateful for your service and contribution to our department. Go Cowboys. Your friend, Jaime Castro.
Well, we wanted to make this special.
Wow. Yeah. Well, can I just say,
Yes,
I honestly, you don't go into this to expect that. You hope that you can leave a place better than when you got here. Makes it tremendously special. This is one of the reasons why I was so frustrated the way this information came out. It's not the way you all and my men and women deserve to hear it. I'll tell you what, I'll never make that mistake again. But that's just amazing to hear. Who I wish was here that would hear that would be my kids.
Go here, boss.
That's who I want to be proud of me.
The way you engage the community is so incredibly important. And that was one of your pillars that you wanted to establish once you got here, because you got here at the heels of COVID and the defund the police movement, and the police profession was reeling nationwide, and in Dallas is no different. You got here, and I saw you just engage. You were out at community events. You were truly engaging with the community. And the Santos Rodriguez apology, that was a big part of your tenure. It was long overdue, 50 years overdue. Did you How did you do that so well?
Well, I always talk about this because obviously, after, the George Floyd and, the protests and riots that occurred, throughout, the country, we were in a perfect storm because at a time that we should have been out engaging with our communities and having face-to-face conversations, we were in shelter in place, right? And there is no Zoom meeting, there is no Teams meeting that can come close to sitting across people, community that are questioning, the profession, and you can have conversations. And so it was absolutely imperative that we get back out there. And it was imperative for me to get out there. Obviously, coming here from another state, there's only one. You got to get out there and do it. I mean, there's no secret to getting out and knowing your community other than going out to know your community. Whether it's good or bad, the thing that we had to do when we talk to our community all the time is we need to reflect and recognize that as law enforcement, we've made some bad mistakes. We need to recognize it. I mean, that is recognizing that law enforcement has made bad mistakes while at the same time supporting your men and women for the honorable work they do every day are not mutually exclusive terms. And I think oftentimes, and that goes to the emotional bank account, as I mentioned, right? That on one hand, you can say we've made some mistakes that we need to own up to. Obviously Santos Rodriguez, and talking to Bessie that day, God, rest in peace, was one of those moments. But besides that, talking to the community as we're trying to heal, you cannot heal if you can't admit the mistakes of your past. And I'll never forget having a conversation with a young lady at a barbershop talk series where she was very emotional about the fact that police departments can't recognize the fact that they've made mistakes. And when I agreed with her that, yes, we recognize we've made mistakes, that we want to get better and move forward, and we want to learn of the mistakes that we have made, not just here locally, but nationally, that have tarnished our badge, all of a sudden the conversation just dropped like 10. I mean, she was at like an 8 or a 9, and all of a sudden it dropped to a 2. And that wasn't any genius move. It was just admitting, here's where we're at. While at the same time, being able to come back on a press conference on Officer Vol shooting and defending an officer that absolutely did everything he or she had to do in that sense, that unfortunately ended up tragic. Again, you can do both. But I think the community appreciates when you admit you're wrong. Listen, we hire from the human race. I don't think there's a community member that thinks that any department's perfect. I think what they expect is that when you make a mistake, that you admit your mistake and you want to get better. And I think that's what we did. Ultimately, when we go to community meetings, whether they were community meetings that you were in front of an audience that was very police friendly, so to speak, or whether it was a community meeting that was contentious because of violent crime or other issues, and they were crowded meetings, regardless what that meeting, I would always tell them that this is a precious gift that, I feel the pendulum is swinging nationally, but I think our pendulum here in Dallas started swinging in the right direction much earlier with regards to community trust. And the one thing I would always say, whether it was a positive meeting or a contentious meeting for issues, is that this is a precious gift that you have taken your time to be here to work with the police department. It doesn't happen everywhere. So whether I'm hearing great things or I'm hearing things that we need to do better, I never took that personally, and I really treated it like a gift, that they were there and they wanted to work with us. And I think that's what's been missing really from a national perspective of certain departments and their communities having that perspective. Now, there's history in every department that makes that a problem at times. But we're able to work through that. And I think the community saw that. And I've said this many times, man, there's you all know I'm not a stay in the office kind of chief. There's not a neighborhood in the city of Dallas, regardless of language spoken, racial makeup, or economic status, that, I have ever heard the words, "We wanted to see less of you in our neighborhoods." Like, it didn't happen Like, and I would tell, some reporters at the time, like, and this was early. This was in 2021 when we first got here. We had to get out in our communities and have conversations where this false narrative came out. Where I'm like, I don't know where you guys are getting that, because I've never heard it from a neighborhood here. Never. Yes, they want us to be professional. Yes, they want to know what we're doing to get better. There's no question about it. And we want to be professional and we want to get better. But I've never heard we want you to go away, ever. And so when you have that as the foundation, you can rebuild anything when that's the foundation. And I think that was the thing, the luxury that we had here that obviously goes besides me. That's the work that you all have done in the past, that our community knows you care. They know we care. But I always think it's important for the police chief to be out there, amongst our community. I'm not going to ask anyone to do something I wouldn't do. And this is, that's one of the reasons why this job puts your life second, as you've heard me say. There's no balance in this job. There isn't. And anybody that wants to be the police chief of the Dallas Police Department or any major city needs to understand that the second that they raise their right hand and take this job, that their life just became second. And I hate to make it sound negative, but if that's not the thinking, and if your life isn't set up to prepare for that, don't chase the 4 stars. Don't chase it, because you're going to do your men and women, your community, a disservice. Understand that you need to be in a position where your life is ready to ensure that your life is second to the department. And I'm not trying to make that sound overly dramatic, but that is the reality of it.
It's real. And it's the community and the PD. We are an ecosystem, and we have to coexist, and we need each other. And what you brought here, and very quickly, by the way, and you've built on in the 3.5 years since you got here. It's pretty incredible. We also have another little note for you from one of your commanders that you may have heard of.
The department is grateful for the time we were able to spend under your leadership. You regained trust in our communities and built coalitions that will long serve this department for years to come. I am personally thankful for giving me the opportunity and trust to serve you at a higher level under your command. Your mentorship has only made me a better commander on the department. I wish you only the best success as the Assistant City Manager for the City of Austin. They are truly receiving an inspirational, caring, and devoted leader. Executive Assistant Chief Mike Igo.
Man, they all mean a lot, man. But like Mike and I, 2 different states, but we started around the same time. We've been cops for, I think, the same amount of years.
Yep, back when the Cowboys were killing it.
Yeah, I think I got a year on Mike though. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna say, I got a year on Mike. I was 92, but yeah, that's amazing. I think Mike is going to be a tremendous leader. I truly hope that whether it's interim or long term, that he has the reins. But ultimately, and again, I'll just say this up front, and this is part of the reasons, and I'll just bring it up. I didn't see what questions were going to be, but also, this is one of the part of reasons where this was the time to go. I didn't want to give the keys to a broken department to someone. When people have said to me, why are you leaving when things are going well? Because this is the time to go. In this line of work, it's better to leave the party early than leave the party late. I did not want anything to tarnish a new chief taking over the department. And we're on the right track. I was at a panel earlier before I got here at SMU where I think I got 5 "I'm mad at you" and 1 "congratulations." and I guess even the "I'm mad at yous" are a gift. It is a gift,
Sure.
And we laughed about it. But I said, hey, at least I got 1 congratulations. But again, listen, my 4 goals were to reduce violent crime, increase police morale, increase community trust, and the last one was that the next leader would come from the Dallas Police Department. And there's a reason why, we're on the right track. We haven't won anything, and that's, we don't do touchdown dances. One victim's too many, but we want to continue down the path we're in. And the interesting part about it, if people have that type of emotion, and as I've said, there's nothing I could have accomplished without the rank and file, without you all. Nothing. A coach is only as good as his or her team. And, but if the department is going in the direction we want it to go, these letters and comments about that, when I wasn't even paying attention, that people were paying attention, they were paying attention. And, there's a reason why the department is on the right track, and it's because of the people that are within these walls. And so I truly think that the city needs to look internal for that next leader. And that's my true belief.
Well, you talk about the leaders being within these walls, and I agree that you've got an amazing command staff. And I've known Mike since he was riding bikes in Southeast as a PO. And Monica, his wife, I've known them forever. Mike's a good guy. Your interaction with the rank and file, and you and I have talked offline about this, about how they look at you and how much they respect you, especially even other officers outside our department. They see you present. They see you out running marathons in 107-degree heat in full uniform, and they see you show up, and I see I'm hearing what they're saying. They truly look up to you, and they're like, wow, and I take a lot of pride in that, because I go, yeah, that's my guy. That's my boss. I work for that guy.
Again, it's always fun. I mean, I probably don't act, I probably don't act like people perceive a police chief should act. You'll come in here on a given Friday and there'll be music playing and we're having a good time. But when it's business, it's business. But I always love interacting, and I hope it doesn't change with the hardworking men and women of public safety. Going to Austin, it's not just the police department; it'll be all of public safety. But with specific to departments, I mean, going out and hanging out with the officers, man. This may sound corny, but made me feel like one of them hanging out. That part of the culture of police work, of those friendships that you build, and the joking and the making fun of each other, and I mean, that stuff is, I'd love being in a circle with individuals and we're giving it to each other back and forth. Yeah. And it's almost as if like I got the fact. It wasn't out of disrespect if someone would make a joke or something, because I'd laugh right along with them. To me, again, it was a gift. It was a gift for someone to feel comfortable that we can joke and have fun. Well, at the same time, I knew that if I walked into a room, that same person, I'm not going to say they're standing at attention, but that same person would give me the respect. And I think you got to have a balance. I mean, in today's, you have to evolve. I remember chiefs that came in and, they'd be in suits and, and walk in and this and that and the other. And, they didn't joke, and they were always serious, and I was never that way anyway. You can never change who you are. I've always been who I was, and so I think that's the genuine part that people see, that you can't lie about it. You can't fake it.
We'll sniff it out. I mean,
you guys, yeah. Please, you guys will sniff fake out in a heartbeat. But I truly enjoyed it. It was an amazing time. It was great being out there with the troops and supporting them and what they're doing, and knowing, because I think in the back of their minds they knew I didn't need to be there. They know that, but it was important to me to be there, to try to take this to another level, to understand that they came first. And it's easy. I've been, it's easy to get into someone's mind. It's really difficult to get into someone's heart. And when we talk about, what this department's done from violent crime and community trust and morale, that wasn't because we got in people's minds. I think we got in people's hearts. I think they knew that not just me, but that this city, that we cared deeply. And when you realize that someone cares deeply for you, as people have done for me, It truly can just absolutely change the environment tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have another note here from one of your rank and file you may have heard of. Jefe, Chief, Papa. It's been an honor and a pleasure to work with you and for you. It's sad to see you go. However, we all know at some point this time would come. May God bless you in your new journey.
Guys are killing me, man.
You'll be missed. P.S. Go Cowboys and La Calle Bota Fuego Fuego. Brian Candelaria.
Oh man, he was one of the first. Him and his brother.
Yeah, well, we're body doubles.
Where you guys are fans.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, don't tell Brian they're body doubles.
No,
they'll get.
I always tell Brian that he's the.
You don't tell Brian they're body doubles.
Yeah, he gets.
But yeah, you know what? They were my the first two Puerto Rican little brothers that I met when I got here and went to dinner. And Brian does an amazing job. He's what I mean. When you look, I mean, this feels so powerful because it's people down the chain, up the chain, or what have you. I mean, those are the future leaders, right? And I'm sure there's countless others. As a chief, I can't help but beam with pride that I left something with them. I mean, that's what you do this job for.
What are you most proud of? You and I talked about building a fabric here.
I guess when we talk about what's most proud of is that honestly, and people often take this the wrong way, but I think we made it okay to be a police officer again. And by that, it's like when people talk about the thin blue line, that it has some negative connotation. And as you heard me at Darren's funeral, I'll never let anyone hijack that. The thin blue line is a line that we stand on. It's not separate, but we stand on that line together in the service of others. It's not an excuse for unprofessionalism and things of that nature. It's standing on the line for the only purpose of serving others. And so we made it okay to be a cop again, where our communities demand that in a professional, just way, that we take the violent criminal element off our streets. And we supported that as a department. And we've seen the benefits of that. And that to continue to work hard as all the proactive units are working in our communities, to also be there for our community in times of non-crisis, to see that we're all human and we all want this city to be better. And so I'm proud that we made it okay, to be cops again, to do what we wanted to do, to make our communities better. And again, I'm glad I didn't lose my way on the way. I'm glad that I believe that I'll be thought of as, a cop first. And ultimately, I mean, you can put anything under that. But I mean, what I'm proud of the most is I think I'm walking away with people saying I was a cop first and a chief second, and I don't know how much prouder I can be than that.
One of the things we're on almost 4 years in a row in crime reduction, violent crime in the city, which it's pretty amazing. The P&I and the task force that you put together and the crime plan. I know other agencies across the country are actually they're wanting to emulate that, and that is, that's one of the biggest honors. It has to be to you. It's something you started here that others are looking at and want to copy.
No, I mean, it's a tremendous honor. I mean, when I had this conversation with someone, and we talk about, and obviously being part of Major City Chiefs Association and the myriad of other chief friends that I have across the country, that, when we think about public safety, we think about, we want to make Dallas better. We want to make the state of Texas better. We want to make this country better and safer. And so if there's things that we're doing that other cities, I don't care where you're at, want to try to emulate to make their cities safer and better, that's what we want to do. We wanted to be the leaders here on those things. Obviously, working with the criminologists, with Dr. Smith and Tillier, it's been an amazing ride. We want to do that. So although it's a sense of pride, and obviously we're proud that other departments are emulating it. Really, when you look at it in one way, it's our duty. It's our duty to try to make our profession better. And and I think that's I think I'm proud of that as well. That we're trying to make our profession better. If other people are taking, I mean, it's not going to be the same, right? Tweak it all you want, but to have those sets of ideas that we can make our country better, our state better. I think that's really should be all of our goals, that people can emulate those type of things.
Yeah, one thing that that you also made priority was green lighting the wellness unit, which, I was there with you and Chief Ramirez, and we got this going, and it is for the troops that have to go out and serve and have to basically put into work your crime plan and serve the citizens. And if we have a healthier officer in mind, body, and soul, that's a better product for this community. And I see it firsthand, Chief, of what this unit, going back to the tragedies with the suicides, and also the Burks and David and Farmer shooting, and that tragedy. We are miles ahead of where we were in 2016 when you were watching as a chief from San Jose of how we responded. And I have to say, I've been extremely busy the last few weeks, but I am proud to know that something that you had an idea for and you let us put in place for the future of our department, because our men and women, we need it, because we had nothing like this before this unit existed.
No, I mean, you guys and you all, I'm so proud of you all. You've taken this further than I thought, which, again, is a chief's dream. A chief wants to kind of plant a seed and watch it grow. A chief shouldn't be, overseeing its growth. I mean, if a chief has to do that, then it's an issue. But it's like planting a seed that you guys just grew and flourished. And, and again, looking at, whether, at first, obviously, it was the discipline issue with DUIs and things of that nature, that we needed to get people help, and recognizing that it's the trauma that officers go through that we really need to deal with, to, the counseling and in the checkpoints, and the programming that you're all doing now, that, again, I mean, I know, and I see it because we meet periodically, about the numbers of contacts that you're all making. That, I guess you could step back, and you all should take a sense of pride of this. Is, if you're making all those contacts now, what was going on before you started, right? You guys have been a blessing through the tragedies that we've been through, whether it's the suicides, the shootings, obviously Darren's murder, to be able to just, turn and say, hey, we need to do something, and then before I know it, you guys are rolling every program out. That's such a prideful thing. I mean, that's such a great thing for departments to have, and it's one of the biggest changes in American law enforcement really since I started. I mean, you've heard me say this before, and no one will disagree with me, that I think we've made it okay. If you have issues, we've made it okay. Come and talk. It's normal. But you all know, listen, in 1992, if there was a cop that told his partner, hey, that call kind of screwed me up a little bit, in 92, his partner would have told him, dude, suck it up. We got 10 more hours. If that same officer would have told his lieutenant, I think that call screwed me up, that lieutenant would have told that officer, and there is no one that can disagree with me on this, that lieutenant would have told that officer, maybe this isn't the right job for you.
No, that's how, when I hired on in 97, you didn't talk about it. And it really goes back to what you said earlier, and we pick from the human pool to do this profession.
Absolutely.
And I don't care what kind of training, I don't care what kind of experience you have. We are all human at core, and we all suffer the same way, and we all have to process this trauma the same way. And it's nothing normal. It's Dr. T had said it before, this profession in some ways is like the worst human experiment. You set an individual down for 10, 20, 30 years, over 30 years, and you expose them to the most horrific things and other people's grief and violence, and then you expect them to be released in the wild and be normal. It's not that easy. This wellness unit, I'm very proud of the work we've done, and especially when it comes to the alcohol leave policy that you created. We have easily over double-digit officers that have partaken in that policy.
Fantastic.
And those are lives we've saved. And there's actually one. I know you're very proud of this story.
Dear Chief Garcia, as you prepare to leave your role as chief of the Dallas Police Department, I find myself overwhelmed with a mix of emotions. Gratitude, respect, and an immense sense of appreciation come to mind when I think of the profound impact you've had, not just on the department, but on my life and the lives of so many other officers who have had the honor to serve under your leadership. From the moment you took charge, your deep devotion to this department and to each officer was immediately noticeable. You led with compassion, strength, and a vision that transformed the Dallas Police Department into something truly extraordinary. You didn't just lead us, you cared for us. One of the most revolutionary changes you brought was the creation of the Wellness Unit. In a job where the weight of the world can sometimes feel too heavy to bear, you made sure that no officer ever had to carry that burden alone. You recognized the toll this job can take on our mental and emotional well-being, and you did something about it. I cannot describe how many of my fellow officers, and myself included, found solace, strength, and hope because of this. It wasn't just a program. It was a lifeline for us all. But Chief, on a much more personal note, I will never be able to fully express my gratitude for the alcohol leave program you championed. I can honestly say that it saved me. Without it, I wouldn't be writing this letter. It saved my career, but even more than that, it saved my relationships, and it saved my life. You gave me a second chance when I thought all hope was lost. I was, as the saying goes, circling the drain, towards nothing more than despair and ruin. You afforded me the chance to heal, to face my demons, and to come back stronger, not just as an officer, but as a person, and now as a supervisor. Words will never be enough to thank you for that gift. I think about where I am now compared to where I was before this program, and I know I owe so much of that to your courage and your compassion to see this program into existence. You saw the people behind the badges, and you fought for us in ways that will ripple through our lives and the culture of this department for years to come. As you move on to the next chapter of your life, please know that your legacy will remain here, in the hearts of every single one of us who had the privilege of serving under your leadership. You didn't just make the department better, you made us better. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Chief. Thank you for your leadership, your kindness, and your unwavering belief in the power of second chances. I wish you nothing but happiness, peace, and success in whatever comes next. You will be missed more than words can convey. With the deepest gratitude and respect, Gordon Fulton.
So proud of him.
Yeah.
Just proud of him. I mean, for everything that he said, he did that. We gave him a chance. He had to do the rest. He does, and I appreciate his words. They mean more than he'll know. But I also want him to know how proud we all are of him. And what an example he sets, because he had to put in that work, and I know that work wasn't easy. So I'm so proud of him, and I appreciate those words so much.
Yeah, he's continuing it. The 12th step in the program is service to others, and he does it on his own time, boss. He has the Fight Club, the AA for first responders. He does every week on his own time, and he opened it up for other officers, not just DPD, but other officers and first responders to come forward and be a part of that. That is true service.
That there's that old saying, and I mean it fits for everything, and it obviously fits for this. That there's a saying that says when you reach success, your job is to open the door for the next person, and that's leadership. What Gordon's doing is leadership, because he's opening the door for others, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. This isn't far removed from our latest tragedy in the city. I mean, the city has got a lot of tragedies, a lot of history, a lot of great history, but the difficulty of folding the flag and then you having to hand it over to a loved one, that has to be one of the hardest things you've had to do here in this department.
It's the worst thing to do. You know, you take some ownership as chief because, when your officers get in those times, that they were doing it because of the mission, and that weighs on you. The family members, have been so unbelievable. Darren's mom was just beautiful, strong, and that does weigh, and it's hard. But again, as the leader, you have to be strong for the organization in those times, and strong for the families in those times. Right? You're not there for you. You're not there for anything else. You're there for them. You're there to support them. And so that was incredibly hard. And yeah, if anyone ever asks me what's the worst part of this job, is exactly doing that. First of all, it's getting the call. But going through that is painful. And there's that's one of the things that I'll never forget. But certainly, it weighs.
Mitchell Penton was the first.
Yeah.
First flag you had to.
Yeah, I was here barely a month when we lost Mitchell. Getting that call that day, going to the hospital, it was brutal. And they're all brutal. They all hit so hard. And again, because they're doing their job, doing their duty that you are asking them to do. I tell people all the time, I mean, you can't make people go out there, and chase crooks. You can make them answer 911 calls, but you can't make them chase crooks and do other things. And people could be hiding and not answering calls or what have you, and just being out in the areas that they're supposed to be in, taking a break after they're working hard for you, and working hard for the department, and to have these things happen, it's terrible. Obviously, I still have, a great relationship with Mitchell's parents, beautiful people, who support this department so much. We have to be there for the families afterwards as well, and truly not forget.
So with that, I think this may be our last letter. And this is the last time we'll do this. Thank you, Chief Garcia. Tim and I want to thank you for your service to the city of Dallas. Obviously, we aren't officers. We are parents. Meeting you on our worst day, you were compassionate. You listened to what I think my son would have said to you. He's going to be good for DPD. Thank you for meeting with his friends, academy classmates, and his favorite FTO to learn about who he was before speaking about him at his funeral. Thank you for always giving us a big hug every time we saw you at any function. Thank you for your leadership, your passion, and not Californianing up DPD. You will be missed. Good luck and go do great things in Austin. Kathy Penton, mother of Mitchell Penton. End of watch, February 13th, 2021.
I'd say Kathy and Tim are just amazing people. I'll never forget that day. I know they obviously won't either. But I hope, I think I feel they know we're there for them. And we'll always be there for them. Wherever I'm at, they can reach out. I'll always be there for them.
They're very involved with DPD.
Yes.
And I really feel that you made an impression on them to where they felt like they could be involved.
Well, yeah. And I'm glad. I couldn't be happier. That's how, if that's the way that they can deal with a hole that will never be filled. But if we can help in any way, shape, or form, and the help that they give us, the help they give their officers, the officers feel it because I hear from the officers about their involvement in what they do. when I do see Kathy, I mean, it's just, it almost I have to remind myself how we met, because I feel that we're truly friends, and they're amazing people, and I hope the best for them, and know that I'll always be there for them.
They're part of the family.
They are part of the family.
I have told you before that, and I didn't know that you really, this line really resonated with you, that you will always be an old street cop masquerading as a 4-star chief. I don't care where you go, what you do, whether it's masquerading as a assistant city manager in Austin or masquerading as a potential grandfather. You will always be an old street cop at heart. And that started when you were 21 years old in San Jose. And now you're moving forward to remove that badge and remove that uniform and that gun belt. How does that feel?
I think I'm at peace. I know there's going to be days and nights. I'll be honest with you. The first time that I knew it'd be hard, I was contemplating it. And when I went to the Fort Worth funeral a few weeks ago, and as I sat there, and I had been thinking about it, and I sat there and I said, man, I'm not going to be part of this anymore. That was hard. That was hard to know that I won't be in uniform in the ranks when we need to be together. That part hits hard. The other part, obviously, a few weeks back as well, when I talked to the retirees at their banquet, and I told them I envied them. I envied them because they all knew and realized when it was time. And, recognizing when it's time, like for all you guys are going to be there at some point, is the hardest thing to recognize. But you can't hold on forever. You're not getting any younger. And there's a lot of mistakes that we've made, and a lot of things that we've done that we've sacrificed too much. And, when you have loved ones, and things of that nature that you want to spend time with and be able to do both, you need to recognize and take a step back and go, okay, what have you accomplished? What things can you say you did? And whether from the successes to the mistakes, and to be able to leave on your own terms. To explain to you guys, in today's life and age with police chiefs, to be able to say you're leaving on your own terms is often, and even though you do leave on your own terms, things may not have been going great. Right? I'm not saying people necessarily get kicked out the door, but even when people leave on their own terms, things weren't going fantastic, and saying you leave on your own terms. Being able to say you left on your own terms, and to the extent I could say, because obviously I have bosses, but to the extent that whatever celebration or party we have, that they got to queue up Sinatra's My Way, because I listen to that song, and if you listen to the words with regards to it, man, it really, like, I'm gonna have a smile on my face, man, because when you're sitting in the back room as a 21-year-old cop, and commanders come in and they say this and that and the other, and you sit there and you go, if I was chief, I'd do it this way. I was able to do that, and honestly, I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have tremendous leadership above me. Say what you will, regardless, I couldn't do what I did if my city managers, whether in San Jose or here, didn't allow me to do it. And that's not any small task. From being loud when we needed to be, and defending the men and women, regardless of the outside noise, to the policies and procedures that we've put in place. So from the associations, working with them, to my bosses, I wouldn't have been able to put a thumbprint without their help. And so And so, and so all of that, looking back, you think about it, I made peace, and I'm always going to be part of the family, and I'm obviously a supporter of Blue for the rest of my life, and see how I can move the profession further in a different role. And that's, and again, as I had mentioned earlier, yes, I'm going to Austin, but if we can do something in Austin and I can work with them, understanding it's not the same place, understanding Austin's Austin, Dallas is Dallas. So I'm not the kind of chief, as an example. There's things we did in San Jose we didn't do here. Different. And the quicker you recognize that, the better you'll be off. Because I think that is a detriment to some chiefs that come from outside places and do other things, is to recognize you're going to a different place. You got to study it first. There are some things that you can do, and there's some other things that may not be right. But being able to move the profession forward, and a tremendous job that all men and women of public safety do forward, is something that I'll be proud of doing next as well.
Chief, I've heard you say this week, you kind of felt robbed of how you envisioned your goodbye after nearly 33-year career in this profession and wearing that badge and leading the men and women of this profession. What final message you want to leave them with that you did not get to?
Wow. I would just say, the men and women of the Dallas Police Department, both, sworn and professional staff, thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for not buying into the California and up your DPD. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for working alongside of me. You gave me the best front row seat to amazing police work. Don't forget your health. Don't forget each other. Keep standing on that line in defense of others. The world is watching you. You have made tremendous impacts in a very short time. You are great. Do not let anyone tell you different. You are worth all the sacrifices. God bless you all. God bless the TPD.
Hey brother, hey sister, I'll never give up on you. Hey Mrs., hey mister, I'll see this all the way through. No matter how far the sun and the moon, I'll never give up on you. Down when you're lonely, I'll pull you up. Life leaves you heavy when the going gets tough. I'll be your shoulder, together we'll run up from the bottom, yeah, we'll rise above. Hey brother, hey sister, I'll never give up on you. Hey Mrs., hey mister, I'll see this all the way through. No matter how far the sun and the moon, I'll never give up on you. Sister, I'll never give up on you. Hey Mrs., hey mister, I'll see this all the way through. No matter how far, for the gold and the blue, I'll never give up on you.